Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing a fun video with you guys. I'm going to be talking about breastfeeding. I'm going to be talking about my experience personally breastfeeding my daughter Opal for a whole full year. I am so thankful that I was able to do that, and I applaud all of you mamas who choose to feed your baby whatever way you can and whatever way you do. I am really excited to share some of my favorite tips and tricks, what I've learned, what I'll do if we have a second baby. I want to just go ahead and tell you guys that this is actually a collaboration with Whitney Elizabeth. She has a sweet little family. She has a 2-year-old little boy and a 5-month-old little girl. She posts a lot of lifestyle content as well. Her vlogs are very genuine. She shows motherhood for what it is and the real stuff. She also talks about her journey with postpartum anxiety, and I find that her heart and her family are just very real, just so sweet. You guys will definitely need to check out her channel after you guys finish this video. She is also going to be sharing a breastfeeding video, so be sure to check out her channel. I will have it linked down below in the description box for you guys. If you are new here and you guys are coming over from Whitney's channel, welcome to my channel. My name is PIPERBACKHOLM. I have a lifestyle and motherhood channel. I film a lot of everyday life vlogs. I also do a lot of sit-down heart-to-hearts, and I share a lot about my chronic illness with type 1 diabetes and just living with it and thriving and sharing my health journey. So I would love to have you a part of my family here on YouTube and get to know you better. Leave me a comment down below. I would love to talk to you and get to know you, and let's go ahead and jump into this video. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the newborn phase. So when Opal was born, I get asked this question all the time: was she able to nurse right away? Did she latch? And yes, Opal was a very good nurser. She had always been a really good nurser. She latched the day she was born. As soon as she came out, she was a natural at this. I, on the other hand, was a little bit taken back by breastfeeding, to be honest. I had taken a birth class and I had learned about the bare necessities of breastfeeding, and that was extremely helpful. If I have anything to recommend to you, it would be to meet with a lactation consultant before you have your baby, and or to attend a birth class, if not for the only reason being to learn about breastfeeding. It can kind of be overwhelming for a lot of mamas. I know that for myself it was very overwhelming, and so I just want to reach out and offer that idea to you because I didn't have anyone really reaching out or offering me ideas. So there is one idea for you. For Opal, she latched immediately and she did not have a tongue or lip tie. That's another thing that I would definitely be aware of when you have your baby, is to make sure that their pediatrician and or the lactation consultant checks for a tongue or lip tie. That can interfere with the baby's latch, and it can also interfere with the baby's eating, how much milk they're able to consume. The one thing that I feel like I really struggled with in the beginning was positions. There are lots of different ways you can nurse your baby. There are lots of different ways that mamas prefer to nurse their baby, and I wasn't familiar with any of the different positions. I was just told that you nurse your baby, kind of just common sense, like, oh, you just, pop them on there and you're good to go. I learned very quickly that Opal had preferences as to how she would like to be nursed, and also I had preferences as to how I'd like to nurse her. So if you are not aware of different breastfeeding positions, I would highly recommend clicking the link down below. I will have a little diagram for you of different positions that you can nurse your baby in. When Opal was born, the first 3 days, I didn't have any milk. My milk came in on my 3rd day of postpartum, and when it came in, it was fast and furious. I actually was diagnosed with an oversupply of milk for the first 3 months of Opal's life. And to say the least, it was very uncomfortable, and it made for a very fussy baby. When your baby is getting a lot of milk from your letdown, which is what happens after your breast has been stimulated and your baby begins to suckle and nurse, that's what stimulates the milk to come. And when she would do that, my letdown would be so extreme that she would gag or fuss or unlatch because she was frustrated. She was getting too much and couldn't swallow it fast enough. So what I found to be really helpful for me is the Hakka Pump, and I think that's how you say it. So this is the Hakka Pump, and I want to talk about it because this is incredible for so many different reasons, and I'm talking about this because I personally didn't have this until Opal was maybe 2 weeks old, and I ordered it, and it changed my breastfeeding experience. So this is the Hakka Pump. It's this silicone little pump that you just attach to your breast. And there are a lot of different ways you can use this. So in my particular case, when I would have a letdown, the side that she would latch onto, I would unlatch her, and I would attach the silicone pump to that breast while my letdown happened. That way she didn't get an overabundance of milk all at once and get frustrated. And then also, I produced a lot of foremilk. Foremilk is the watery milk. Hind milk is fatty milk. And learning what I know now, Opal needed more hind milk, and it's because I had such an extravagant letdown that she wasn't getting enough of the hind milk. So when I implemented the Hakka Pump, she would latch, and once my letdown started, I would unlatch her. She would get a little bit frustrated at first, and then it kind of became part of our routine, and she wasn't fazed by it. But I would attach the pump, and it would catch my letdown, and I would usually have like 3 or 4 ounces just from my letdown. I would then attach her, and she would finish that breast, and then I would attach her to the other side, and she would finish her nursing session. You can also, if you don't have an oversupply or don't have a fast and furious letdown, you could also attach it to the opposite side while your baby nurses on the other side, and it can catch your letdown and some of the foremilk while your baby nurses. And then when you attach your baby, they get more of the hind milk, but you still get to save the good stuff, the liquid gold, from the other side. I will have this linked in the description box for you down below. The next thing that I want to talk about is nipple care. So TMI, but I say it the way it is. I had 2 favorite nipple creams that I used. I didn't have cracked nipples. I didn't have bleeding nipples. My nipples never hurt. I don't know if that's just genetic or if I was lucky or if maybe I just took really good care of my body. I don't really know what my case was, but I didn't crack or bleed or anything. And I feel so grateful to say that. And my nipples never hurt, to be honest. Even when Opal started teething, like I had a really, really good experience with that. So I used the, what is it called? The MEDELA nipple cream, and that was so nice. It has a nice texture to it. It's not super thick and pasty. It kind of absorbs into your nipple, which is nice. Some of the pastier stuff I really didn't like. And I also noticed that when I used the pastier stuff, Opal didn't like it either. So I used the MEDELA nipple cream. I will link it down below for you in the description box. And then I also used the LANOLIN nipple cream, and I really liked that one as well. My favorite is by far the MEDELA, so I will link that one down below, and the LANOLIN one, or Lanosol, I can't remember. I'll link them both down below for you. But nipple care is so important. I feel so terrible for all of you mamas who have had or experienced cracked and bleeding nipples, etc. I can't imagine how painful that is. So if you're looking for a good nipple cream, these are the 2 that I would highly recommend and swear by. I didn't ever experience that with Opal, and I contributed a lot to using these creams. The other thing that I'd say with nipple care is make sure that you are putting it on before and after every feeding, those first couple of months. I know that that sounds really time-consuming and meticulous, but if you want to feel good and not have any rawness there, you're going to need to take the time to care for your nipples. So be sure to do that before you feed your baby and after you feed your baby. I will link down below my mother's milk tea recommendation. That's a lactation tea that I actually drank personally with Opal throughout my entire breastfeeding journey, and I noticed a really significant difference when I would drink that tea. It was super helpful. The next thing I'm going to talk about is my favorite nursing cover. I personally did not use a cover after 8 months old. Opal got really tired and frustrated underneath this cover. She really didn't like being covered. But the first 6 to 8 months, she was great about it and really liked it, and it made me feel more comfortable. It's just a personal preference. This is the Copper Pearl brand. I will link it down below for you. And it is a beautiful floral pattern. I'm actually going to put it on for you guys so you can see what it looks like. This has been a long time since I've done this. But it has a really nice, soft, breathable, stretchy material. Some of the materials of the nursing covers that I've tried and that I've seen feel really stiff and they feel kind of heavy. This has a very nice lightweight feel. You can also use this as a car seat cover. It's like a 6-in-1 cover, or a seat cover. So what I would do is just slip it over my head. I would either unsnap my nursing bra, or I would pull down my bralette and I would nurse Opal that way. It's super, super easy to use. The other thing that I really liked about it is I could still pull the top part here and see her without it being super revealing. Again, this is just my personal preference. It's what makes me feel comfortable and confident being a mama. Whatever works for you and your baby is what matters, but this is what works for me. And I just really appreciated the privacy. Once she hit about 6 to 8 months old, she got a little too big for this. This is not a very big nursing cover in my opinion, and she really didn't like being under it. So at around 6 to 8 months old, honestly, if I was out in public, I would typically feed her in the car, or I would find a restroom that had a nursing room in it. And if I absolutely had to, usually I would just throw over a receiving blanket and I would just nurse her that way when I was in public. That's just what made me feel comfortable, and it's what worked well for us. But this is by far my favorite nursing cover that I've used. Okay, so I forgot to mention this, but this is actually a Lancino, I think is how you say it. So this is the Lancino brand, and this is also a breastfeeding product brand. But these are ice packs, and they are also heat packs. So you can microwave them or heat them up on the stove, or you can freeze them. And I am not kidding you guys when I say how amazing these are. So they just sit right around your nipple. There's a great little spot for your nipple there, and they help relieve the swelling that your breast can experience those first couple of days and weeks and even months sometimes. Honestly, it just depends on your body. And I found that the cold option for me was really, really helpful. The hot option was also nice if you have like a plugged milk duct, which happens all the time. To be honest, it's more common than you think it would, so be on the watch for that. And use heat when you experience that, and kind of rub and massage your breast if you experience those inflamed tissue. And what you want to do is just gently massage it. Put one of these like heat packs around your breast and kind of help clear out that clogged milk duct. The next thing I want to talk about is bras. So I shared about this over on my Instagram. I have it saved under my breastfeeding highlight. I also have a ton of suggestions over there, so be sure to click the link down below to my Instagram. Follow me there and check out that highlight if you want to. But I'm going to show you one of my favorite bras that I wore breastfeeding Opal. So this is actually a really cute one. This is from Target, and it's a bralette. It has a nice unlined pad in here. Super easy. What I would do is I would just pull it down like this, and I would nurse her that way. I personally found that the clip nursing bras, they were just really invasive. They would flop up, and in Opal's face, they would disrupt her nursing, especially when I was in public. When I was at home, it wasn't a big deal, honestly. But when I was in a hurry, or she needed to sit and nurse for a longer period of time, I would notice that it just kind of bothered her. And not only did it bother her, but they aren't comfortable, in my opinion. I know a lot of women have to wear them because their body requires them, but mine did not. And I really loved the unlined padded bralettes. I ordered a couple from Aerie. I will link those ones down below for you. And then I also picked up a couple at Target. You can get them for super affordable prices. I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple of questions that I got on Instagram. This video would be super long if I tried to answer all of the questions, so I'm going to answer as many as I can really quick. When did your milk come in, and did your bralette size change? Yes, so my bralette size did change. My milk came in 3 days after Opal was born. I think that's pretty typical. You produce a lot of colostrum, at least most women do. I definitely did. The first couple of months that you are pregnant, your body is already starting that process of that colostrum and starting to make that. And then at about, I'd say, 6 months pregnant, my body just kind of started producing it. It's just what happened to me, and that's my experience. So when Opal was born, I had already been producing colostrum, and that's what she ate the first 3 days. And then when my milk came in on the 3rd day, it was just like full force. When my milk came in, my bralette size went up 2 sizes. So I think I was well, it didn't go up 2 sizes. It went up like a size and a half. It's kind of hard with bralettes because I was in between sizes. So I was a small when I was pregnant, and then I was a large when I was nursing Opal. That's how dramatic your change can be. So I would just say wait until your milk comes in to really invest in your bralettes. As hard as that can be, maybe buy one ahead of time and see how it works for you, but you really want to make sure that you feel comfortable in your bras. Also, your breast size will change when your milk regulates. At least for most women it does. It definitely did for me. At around 4 to 6 months old, my breast size changed and it was a little bit smaller than when my milk first came in those first 3 months. So your body is just kind of constantly transitioning. So I definitely say to expect more growth. And then also when your body starts to regulate after your baby's been born for a couple of months, that your body will change again. Let's see, did I ever struggle with low supply? If so, how did I increase it? Yes, I did struggle with low supply. So at 6 months old, something switched, and I remember Opal was a little bit fussy. She was not as happy when she would latch, and she was very irritable. And I knew that it had to do with my milk production because she just didn't want to nurse for a very long period. And so I began to up my oatmeal intake. I actually consumed a lot of oatmeal. That's something that can actually increase your milk supply. I'd highly recommend getting anything that has oatmeal, adding it to your smoothies, making a bowl in the morning and then in the late afternoon for a snack. Another thing that I suggested earlier is the lactation tea. Upping your water intake and making sure that your baby is latching properly. If your baby doesn't have a good latch, your body is not going to produce the kind of milk that your baby needs because they're not stimulating your breast correctly. So make sure that you have those bare necessities in place. The next thing that I would highly suggest, that I've suggested before, is seeing a lactation consultant. They will be able to direct you and give you more specific answers, but those are the basic things that I did, and I noticed an increase in my milk supply a couple of weeks after. And what effects does breastfeeding have on type 1 diabetics? Okay, I love this question because I don't get asked about type 1 diabetes very often, and so anytime I have the opportunity to talk about it, especially with my motherhood journey, I really appreciate it. I think that it could help a lot of people, a lot of women who want to breastfeed and are type 1s and also want to know more about this. So I will make a video specifically on breastfeeding and type 1 diabetes just because this question is really detailed, and I'd really like to elaborate on it. This is from a mama I absolutely love. She says, I was very anxious during my experience breastfeeding. Learning to trust my body that I knew what it was doing was so hard for me, especially since her daughter has always been so tiny, and it makes you question gaining weight 24/7. Did I experience any anxiety during breastfeeding, and what did I do to help myself trust my body and that I was producing enough milk? When I became a mom, I experienced really severe anxiety the first couple of months for sure. For me, I was in kind of the same boat that this mama is. Opal was always off the charts, teeny tiny when it came to weight. I think she was in like maybe the 3rd percentile for weight, which is really low. And honestly, here's the deal. This is my personal opinion. Don't think that I'm a medical professional. I am not, but this is just my opinion. My husband and I are not big people. We are very small people, and so we didn't expect to have a big chunky baby. Genetics play a big part into how your baby gains weight, their metabolism, their genetics. It all matters. So just keep that in mind. When your pediatrician says, "Oh my goodness, your baby's so tiny, is she getting enough to eat?" The truth is your genetics play a lot into your baby's genetics, and making sure that you are aware of that is really important because you kind of reassure yourself and say, okay, I was a small baby when I was that age too. That kind of helped me relieve some of my anxiety because my husband was a smaller baby and I was a smaller baby, and knowing that really helped me. You just have to roll with it and understand that you are doing your best to make sure that they're getting enough to eat. If your pediatrician is questioning you or asking you and making sure that your baby is getting enough to eat, and maybe it's not just your pediatrician, maybe you feel in your mama heart that your baby's not getting enough to eat, you can always supplement, or you could try giving them more hind milk. Try pumping and giving them a bottle with more of the fatty milk and seeing if that helps increase their weight. Something I did with Opal was I used the Hakka Pump to catch my letdown in my foremilk, and then I would nurse her, like I said, with the hind milk. She was still a very petite little baby. She still is petite, it's just her genetics. But that did make me feel better, and it did make her a little bit fuller for a little bit longer. She also ate very frequently, and I really feel like that's because she has a very fast metabolism, and I think she did when she was born. So knowing your baby's body, knowing your genetics really helps you understand how to prepare for nursing and kind of what your baby will demand and how their body will gain. The other thing that I want to mention that you probably haven't heard, at least I didn't hear it until I did research myself, but most pediatric doctors will go off of the formula-fed growth chart. So there are 2 different charts. There is a breastfeeding growth chart, and then there is a formula-fed growth chart. Make sure that your doctor is using the breastfeeding growth chart. if they are averaging your baby's weight or telling you what percentile your baby is in. The formula-fed baby chart will have higher birth weights. They will have higher weights in general. The breastfeeding growth chart will actually have lower weights because breast milk is very nutrient dense in a lot of areas that formula is not. And that's just based on research. Again, I'm not wanting to offend anyone here. I'm just sharing what I learned. So be sure to ask your doctor about which chart they're going off of. They might kind of give you a side eye about it. My doctor definitely did, but I really didn't care. I am her mama, and remember that ultimately you have the say-so over your baby and their decisions and what you feel best about them doing. A pediatrician is there to help guide you. They're not there to lead you. So make sure that you take the lead on understanding how much your baby needs, what they need, and really be gentle with yourself. So long as you are feeding them frequently, you are making sure that they are getting enough calories that you can produce through your milk. That is really all that you can do. And if you end up having to supplement, that's okay. You can do that. And if you end up being able to successfully do it without being stressed, that's great too. So that is the last question that I'm going to answer. Please know, moms, that I am for you. I am supporting you no matter what you choose to do. If you end up breastfeeding for 2 days, 3 months, 2 years, whatever it is, know that you're doing a good job, and know that every mom is different and every baby is different, and that you will require different things for your body, and that your baby will require different things for their body. So learn each other, and know that I'm for you, and that I hope this video was helpful. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you learned something about breastfeeding that you didn't know. And be sure to subscribe down below. Be sure to check out Whitney's channel as well. I will have it linked in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you.